Something that a client I coach said to me that really changed his perspective when we were having a conversation is he said, if I can't walk away from my business, then something's wrong. And this is somebody who had been an employee for a long period of time in their life. And they started their own business, and now they ended up becoming an employee within their own business. And when we had this conversation, and it really struck him to recognize that he doesn't have true freedom if he can't walk away from his business, then something's wrong. And I think it comes down to us having a certain perspective and identity that needs to be shifted. And I know I dealt with this as a freelancer. I know that there are some areas of my business where I still deal with this and I still have to overcome this. And it's the fact that being indispensable, right? We kind of use that as a survival mechanism. We want to be indispensable to our clients. We want to be indispensable to our customers. So that way they keep coming back and they don't choose somebody else to work with. But the issue with that is that you've now become the only person that they want to work with. You've become indispensable, but at the cost of having your time back to be able to scale, to be able to focus on the bigger vision, to be able to implement systems, and to be able to have a team that you can delegate to. So being indispensable and being needed is something that is a fundamental flaw in the actual game of business, because you're actually still moving from an employee mindset, from a freelancer mindset, and it's actually rooted in survival. It's rooted in a survival mechanism, and it's based out of fear, and it's based out of scarcity. You think that because you're the one who has to be doing the job, that you're the one that the clients want to see, that you're the one that has to teach this person this particular thing, otherwise it's not going to go right, that everything rests on you. And it becomes hard to be able to release, right? One of the things that this client said to me in conversation was he recognized that as he's been growing his business, he's gotten to a certain point to where if he truly wants to grow and truly wants to experience that freedom, he can't hold on to everything like he's been doing. He has to actually release it in order to truly grow. And it's such a powerful and profound mindset shift, because once you're able to come to that perspective, you're able to actually attract and invite people that are going to want to put their best foot forward when they're working with you or working for you. Now, this is something that I feel a lot of people get tripped up early on in the process, because early on in the process, you do have to do a lot of things yourself, right? You may have to run all of the operations by yourself. You may be putting in 12+ hour days each and every day, including the weekends, because you're just in that phase of business where it requires a lot more effort, a lot more input to get the output that you're looking for. But once you get to a point where you begin to have clients, and you get to a point where now you're starting to get some sort of consistent cash flow, things are starting to look smooth, things are starting to come around. The issue here at this point is now that you are not utilizing those resources to reclaim your time and buy your time back to allocate towards higher leverage tasks. You're stuck doing lower leverage tasks, and you're stuck doing tasks that need to get done, but don't need to get done by you. And you think that you're the one that needs to get it done because you think that you're the only one that can do it to the caliber, to the quality that you've been doing it. Or you think that you may get pushback from your clients if you step away and put somebody else in the position that you're in. But we have to be able to reframe that mindset, because this was something that I had to really overcome, especially when I started to get multiple clients and I was on a video shoot for every single client. I said, I don't have any time to go out and get more clients. I don't have any time to really assess what makes the most sense for this business. I don't have any time to even think about what my long-term vision is for this business, because I'm constantly dealing with the operations. I'm constantly the only one who's on site doing the shoots. Now, yes, I got to the point where I could delegate the post-production with the editing, but I still have to physically be there on the shoot. I don't have the luxury of being in Bogota while a shoot has to go on. I don't have the luxury of doing those things because I'm the only one who, one, believes that I can do it to the capacity that I've been doing it, And two, that I think if I send somebody else, that the client is not going to feel comfortable, or they're not going to want them to be there. They're only going to want me to be there because they like me. And not only is that a survival mechanism, but that's also your ego speaking, because you don't think that there are other people who are more competent, more capable, more effective, and more efficient than you are. And maybe you do, but you're hesitant to relinquish that control and release that responsibility to that person. But I'm here to tell you, there is somebody who is more skilled than you, who is more effective than you, who is more efficient than you, that can take over that role. And if you're not ready to pay that grade for that caliber of person, you can still find somebody within your budget that you can trust to do those things. Because I think there becomes a dichotomy, and there becomes this either or, right? It's like either we invest a lot more money into somebody who's very skilled that we know and we can trust to do the job properly, but then it's eating into our profit margins, and we're wondering if we're going to be able to make payroll. We're wondering if we're going to be able to pay them. But if you go with the person that's more affordable, you're questioning whether or not you can really trust them with your clients. And both of those mindsets are equally destructive, because you have to understand that as a business owner, you have to increasingly take risk, obviously calculated risk, right? But you have to increasingly take risk to get to that next level. You have to increasingly make sacrifices. You have to be able to sit back and observe not only how you've been performing, but how your business has been performing. And what decisions do you need to make to propel the business forward? So you have to get out of your own way. You have to separate your ego from the business. I think a lot of times because we've started these businesses and because we're so passionate about it, because we have this big vision, we attach our sense of self so much to the business that it's difficult to be able to make sacrifices. It's difficult to be able to admit that there are other people that can do things better than we're currently doing them, that there are people that our clients might like more than us. That hits the ego, right? Because this is our baby. This is what we're growing. This is our vision. But it's essential for the growth. So you have to get to a point to where you can go from being valuable to actually being what that client needs. And I was telling my client, I said, even though the clients that you're servicing are comfortable with you doing what you're doing, providing your service, right? He's a teacher. He teaches English to Spanish-speaking professionals. Even though they're very comfortable with you being there and you being the one to teach them, you have to reframe their perspective. You have to reframe their perspective and get them to understand that everything that you're doing is for their best interest. So even though they may feel very, very comfortable with you providing the service or with you being there and doing whatever it is that you're doing, you have to be able to have the conversation and frame yourself and have the authority in how you conduct yourself, and showing them and letting them know that every decision that I'm making is for your best interest. I know it may be comfortable for me to be here, for you to learn from me, for me to be on the video shoot, but I'm putting these people in place and I'm doing these things so that way I can give you the best result. So that way I can make sure that we maximize the results that you're looking for. So I need you to trust my strategic approach on how we're going to accomplish this, right? Because a lot of times the client doesn't know what they don't know. They just know how they feel about the relationship and what results they're getting from it. But if you know that there is a more efficient, effective way to get them better results and more results while also reclaiming your time as a business owner, then you have to be able to set that tone and reframe their perspective in that way. So it's important that we don't get caught up in the relationship, right? Obviously, it's super important to build relationships with your clients, but you always want to make sure that you're the one that's staying in the leadership position. You're a CEO, you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, you're not an employee, you're not a freelancer. So when you have clients, you cannot move and act like one because you're the leader. They are your client. You're supposed to be leading them to the result that they're expecting. And you're supposed to be able to know that no matter how you approach that it's going to be in their best interest to follow your lead. And you have to be able to set that tone with them in a way that they can appreciate it and in a way that they know that you're genuinely looking out for their best interest. And most of the times when you have conversations like this, after you make these decisions to delegate or to have a team offload work from yourself, and you have conversations in that manner, they will 100% not only be in agreement, but be very appreciative of it because you're going that extra mile, right? So it's extremely, extremely important that we are able to separate ourselves from the business. It's extremely, extremely important that we're able to ensure that we can walk away, that we can do the things that we need to do for the growth of the long-term vision of the business without getting stuck in the weeds, so to speak. So I want you to ask yourself a few questions. I want you to ask yourself, out of all of the tasks that you do in your business, what are the tasks that you want to do? And what are the tasks that a CEO would do? Because I can guarantee you there are probably quite a few tasks that you're doing that a CEO would never do. There are probably a few tasks that you're doing that you hate to do. And granted, there are moments and times in business where we're going to have to do things that we don't want to do. That's just a fact. That's just the fact of the game, right? That's just the life of an entrepreneur. But if there are consistently a lot of things that you're doing in routine that you don't want to do, and you know if you didn't have to do this, you could put your time elsewhere to something that's much better, that could actually bring more money into the business, then you need to find a way to delegate it. And you have to be able to release that control. You have to be able to not only release that control, but also begin to build up a system to allow the people that you delegate to feel confident in what they're doing. Because it's one thing to just hire somebody, but it's another thing to bring somebody into an ecosystem to where now they feel confident to take the lead within their own role, right? We have to make sure that we're also taking that responsibility on as an entrepreneur. We can't just hire somebody and say, hey, get the job done, do this, do that. I mean, you can, but you're probably not going to get the best result. You're probably not going to get a lot of longevity because at the end of the day, yes, money motivates people. And if you're paying somebody well, they will do the job. But when you go that extra step of actually creating an ecosystem that allows them to build up within their own identity, within their own sense of self, the belief, the confidence, the knowing that they can do what they're supposed to do within their role and lead their own way within their own role, it's night and day difference. You don't have to micromanage. You don't have to worry about things, right? And that takes so much more mental bandwidth off of yourself. As entrepreneurs, we're supposed to be making key decisions to propel the business forward. If you're making so many minute decisions throughout the day on tasks that don't even really matter for you to do them, you're whittling away at your willpower to make correct, decisive, positive decisions that will move the business forward because you're having that constant decision fatigue for things that you could easily delegate and give to someone else in order for you to free up that mental bandwidth, that time.
It's fun.
Right? So we have to make sure that we're doing those things. So ask yourself those questions. What are the things that I want to do in my business that I'm doing? What are the things that I don't want to do in my business that I'm doing? And what are the things that a CEO would do in my business? Answer those three questions, right? And once you answer those three questions and you get the answers to those, I want you to ask yourself a follow-up question. Do I have an ecosystem in place for somebody to step in here and feel confident in taking over these tasks that I don't want to do, that I don't need to do, that I shouldn't be doing? And if the answer is no, then that is your first point of action. That is where you need to start. You need to start by building out an ecosystem to where somebody can come in, quickly get onboarded, quickly learn, and quickly feel confident in carrying out the tasks that you have them assigned to do. Now, a lot of this comes down to creating things like SOPs, different guidelines, right? How-to videos. I want you to think about the tasks that you just do without thinking, right? They're second nature to you because you've done them so much, but you don't really need to be doing it. It's a low leverage task. The next time you do it, I want you to record it. And from that recording, I want you to take a transcript and put it into AI to create an SOP out of that recording. So now you have the actual physical recording of the video, and then you have a written SOP that's derived from that video. Then when you find somebody that you feel you can trust to delegate this task to, I want you to train them up, and I want you to walk them through the video and the SOP. And I also want you to record yourself walking them through the video and the SOP, because you'll be able to not only assess your own capabilities and teaching somebody and giving somebody the confidence to be able to carry out those tasks, but you'll also capture any particular questions that they may ask in the moment. And those are very, very important and vital pieces of feedback that you'll be able to use to reintegrate into your SOP. And it's just going to continue to improve and improve and improve until now you have an actual ecosystem and a set of procedures and a set of course material that somebody can just walk in and easily complete over a weekend, over a week, over a couple of weeks, however intensive and complex the task is. And now they feel fully confident to run with it when it comes to dealing with your client. And you can also feel confident in knowing that they know because you built that system out. So that's a little bit of homework for you. I want you to do that. I want you to ask those reflective questions, because the marker of how we're going to be able to really reclaim our time back and get that time back is by being able to build these systems to where we can create an environment for people to not have to have their hand held or be micromanaged. Those are the two main killers that even if you do delegate, you'll find yourself wasting more time: hand holding and micromanaging. So we have to make sure that we create an ecosystem and an environment that eliminates all of that and builds confidence, trust, and belief within oneself to be able to carry out the task effectively and to the satisfaction of the client.